Hey everyone, can you hear me? Visual? All right, cool. All right, so happy Monday to everyone. Was it a good weekend? Give me a thumbs up if it was a good weekend. Great, awesome. All right, I have a question here from Fallon. Apparently, it's the only question. Nobody else has questions throughout, uh, throughout the weekend. I guess the studying was perfect. I don't see Nina's 1,000 questions. So for Fallon and for everybody else, is this last week's of class? The answer is yes. This is the last week. We end on Thursday with math. If everything goes well, Thursday is the last day, and Saturday is I have an exam scheduled for the evening class, and also for you guys if you want to take it right away. If not, the next weekend will be an exam as well if needed. But I would prefer if everybody tries to test right away and get it out of the way. All right, because this way, if you pass, you're good to go. If you don't pass, you know where you are, so you get ready for the exam the following week if needed. Okay. So, all right. Do you have any other questions regarding that? Nope. All right. Cool. All right. Make sure cameras are on and pointed at you, please. Adjust the cameras so they're pointing at you. Thank you. And Ninja disappeared, so we're gonna have a question or two or three or 1,000 coming through. How should we focus on studying for the exam? So my best recommendation is that you guys first of all take the practice exam that's available for all of you. You should have already started taking. I know Nina, I know you did once already, but whoever, if you haven't tested yet, do test. Go to the student portal, and the practice test is there, and under resources. And the other way is doing quick reviews of the chapters. But I think between Quizlet and practice exam is the best thing that you can do, because now you know, after testing those, you'll know exactly where you are and where you're having difficulties with. Does that make sense? So I could tell you what's the best way. Well, study everything, right? But you know what your weak points are or are not, right? So only you know, not me. See, if you don't ask me questions, like Nina, you're always asking questions, which is great. Some of you send me questions throughout the day or even in the evening, and that shows what you're studying and where you're having difficulties with, right? But if you don't ask questions, then it's impossible for me to tell you what's the best method for you. Everybody has a different way of studying. So what I usually recommend 100% is test yourselves with a practice exam. See where you are, because you get a response from me. Well, the system automatically gives you a response saying, hey, this is your score. These are the things you had wrong. And then he tells you what's the correct answer. After you review, as you guys saw in the WhatsApp group, a lot of you were sharing what your questions were, and could somebody please explain, right? That's what I want. That's what I need you guys to do, because that's where you're having difficulties. Does that make sense? Right? Even as a tutor, sometimes that's what I ask people. Like, I can either give you the whole class again, and you're gonna be like, oh no, this I know, that I know, or you're gonna tell me where you're having difficulty, and that's how I can try to explain to you. Does that make sense? So best way to prepare for the exam: do the practice exam and do the Quizlets, do the flashcards in the Quizlets. Don't do the exams in the Quizlets. Do the flashcards only, right? Because those are the rapid responses. Those are like association. And as far as the practice exam is pretty much a mock exam for the actual school and state exam, right? So doing those will definitely help you understand where you are and what you need to correct, right? And then to correct it, it's asking questions. That's the best way. Next, I need to make up 4 chapters. Can you talk to me about that later? All right, so the 4 chapters you need to make up. Here's the thing. We're starting tonight an evening class. I don't know if you're available or not. We're starting tonight an evening class. If you know the actual chapters you missed, we can see where they are in the evening class. The next morning class is going to be only November 16th. So we had one starting November 2nd, but we had to postpone it. So it's going to start because of all these delays. So it's going to start November 16th. So I don't want you to do the morning class, will be too far off for you, right? So if there's any way you can make the evening class for those 4 days that you missed, or at least 2 of those days, because that's what you need to cover at least 90% of the course. So you need to make at least 2 days, Fallon, to cover 90% of the course. Everything else, just watch the replays as many times as you can, but you need to attend at least 2 classes of the evening. Okay, so we'll talk about that separately, so I know exactly which days you missed. Okay. All right. You have any other questions before we move forward? Nina. Okay. How do CE credits work if you're licensed in multiple states? Do you have one course load for all states, or do you have to take double or triple required course hours? No. Some, depending on what it is, what course CE credit you're going to do, they actually apply. Because if you guys notice, like today is New Jersey, right? We're going to start with New Jersey. Today, the rest of this week is going to be pretty much reviews of everything and touching a few subjects that are New Jersey specific. The rest of it was national. So if I tell you like CE credits, and I tell you 2 years from now, well, in 2020 you don't have to. So in 2023, that's when you're gonna have to. In 2023, you say, Bruno, I want to do the CE credits. I'll tell you to plug into one of my classes, for instance. When you do national agency, right? When we do agency chapter 11, right? Or when you do brokerage, those chapters qualify because they're core chapters. They qualify for CE credits as well. All right, any core chapter qualifies for CE credits as well, and that's, as I said, that's nationwide. So if you have a license in more than one state, can the credits you take in one state apply to the others? As long as the school that you're doing the CE credits with, right? As long as the school you're doing CE credits with is available in those other states or qualified for CE credits, because pay attention to this. Some online schools, they do CE credits nationwide, but they don't do pre-licensing, right? Some schools do pre-licensing and CE credits, but not nationwide. You see what I'm saying? So you need to make sure, like when you go to those, if you do online school, you need to make sure when you go to those, you click there and see which states you are taking the CE credits for, and see if that same class applies for all those states. That's all, right? But you should, most of the stuff should. One of the things I do recommend, even though I always prefer you guys do CE credits with us, but one of the things I do recommend is when you do national trainings, for instance, the SFR, which is Short Sale and Foreclosure Resource, might be credited through the National Association of Realtors, might be credited to all the states, for instance. When you do, let's say you go to the event, there's something called a triple play. Triple play is in Atlantic City. I don't know what's going to happen right now, as of right now, but usually every year we have the triple play, and that's Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey that come together in Atlantic City. The National Association of Realtors comes together in Atlantic City and provides not only a forum for realtors to exchange their experiences, but also vendors can present themselves to all professionals, like home inspections, schools, attorneys, mortgage companies. They have that forum there. And also there's another side of it, which is for 3 days, there's trainings. And these trainings, these events that you can participate in, some are free, some are paid, but all of these contribute towards your CE credits. See what I'm saying? So will it work for all the states? I'm not sure about that, but always ask what states you're trying to get your credits for. Ask if it qualifies for that as well. All right? Right? Can a tenant add a clause to a lease? Understand this. A lease is a contract, right? So a lease being a contract means that both parties need to be or have the meeting of the minds. That means they must be in agreement. Can the tenant add a clause? As long as the landlord agrees to it, no problem. Can the landlord remove or add a clause as well? As long as the tenant agrees to it, no problem. So everything is by agreement. It's a contract. So both parties can add or remove clauses in the lease as long as both agree. And if it's at a later time, then both parties must initial those changes. So if the question was, can a tenant add a clause to a lease after signing it? As long as the landlord initials it, agreeing to it, sure. Okay? Nina disappeared, so I don't know if you got it or not. Okay, good. Nina, if we take the SFR course now, does it still apply to our C course hours for 2023? No. Unfortunately, unless we have to be after July, so it has to be July 1st, 2021 and on to qualify for your 2023 renewal. So any courses you take now would count to your renewal in 2021. You guys don't need the CE credits, but again, there's so many courses that you guys should be taking, focused in whatever your niche is going to be, that doesn't matter. I would still do the SFR now. Don't wait until 2023 to do it, okay? Only because it'll be beneficial for your career. And then again, I don't do the SFR course, so it's not like I have a personal gain. It's really for you guys. So I definitely recommend you doing it. Right? Right, Felix just joined us. What's up, Felix? All right, let's see. If anybody else is on YouTube and you have a question you'd like to address, definitely put questions in the YouTube live chat and I'll address those questions. All right, Felix has a question. And Nina, do we need to renew in 2021 or new licensees start in 2023? 2023, you'll have to do the renewal and CE credits. 2021, no matter what, you have to renew. So every 2 years, every odd number year, licenses reset automatically. Even if you just joined yesterday, tomorrow you would have to renew it. That's why if you're that close, sometimes as brokers, we tell you, hey, listen, just wait a couple more days to activate your license. So this way, you don't have to pay the activation plus the renewal. You just pay the activation, like if it's that close. Other than that, I recommend you activate ASAP, and the renewal is $100. So you don't have to do CE credits. Those will be 2023. Felix, I need to start class, man. If you're dropping a question, drop it now. Faster, faster. I've been here entertaining the class, waiting for you to join and put a question. That's all I've been doing. All right, I'm going to go get lunch. I'll be right back, okay, Felix? Should give you enough time to... Waiting. Okay, there you go. Let's see. If a property manager needs technical expertise in marketing, finance, accounting, and construction, and don't need a license, how do they learn the expertise? Okay, great question. First of all, in most instances, you need a license. Let's start with that. Most instances, even to be a property manager, you need a license. How do you get the training? How do you get the marketing, the expertise, and all that stuff? So, if you saw in chapter 24, there are professional organizations that specialize in training for property managers, because not all property managers need a license. Not all states require that license. But you could get courses through the IRM, which is the Institutes of Real Estate Managers. You could get through BOMA International. You can get through, there's so many different organizations out there that will provide the training for property managers. So do you have to be licensed to participate in all trainings? No, but some trainings do require your license. Some, not all. Does that make sense? So how do you get the expertise? Just by going to these IRAM and BOMA, for instance. Okay. I understand rent being too high, but why would rent be too low be a part of vacancy issues? Why would rent being too low? Well, okay, so rent being too high will not consider. Let's put it a different way. It's not the rent being too low be part of vacancy issues, but vacancy issues could cause the rent to be lower. So a lot of people do, a lot of property managers do, and that's a mistake most of the times, is instead of fixing problems, right? Because we need to identify first what's the problem, right? So instead of fixing problems, what they do is immediately lower the rent to attract more people, right? So if you have high vacancy, we need to figure out why do we have high vacancy. What do managers do? Drop the rent to try to attract. Did that fix the problem? Probably not, because the problem most likely was management. Look, I could charge whatever I want for rents, but I have to provide. It's like me. It's like you guys. Let's look at the difference between a local restaurant, let's say a small mom and pop type of restaurant in Newark, and then you go to a restaurant in New York, right? What is the difference in price? First of all, different markets. Let's start with that. So it's not comparable based on market. But what's the difference between a high-end restaurant and a low-end restaurant, right? So a local mom and pop type of restaurant, traditionally they're low end. They're just like for that satisfaction of having like your mama's food, like that type of environment, right? And then you have the high-end restaurants. What's the difference? It's the presentation. The steak could be a little different too, depending on where they grew it, as an example. But the presentation, the service, the whole thing that goes with it is worth $100 or $200 more. You see the difference? So in a restaurant, I can lower the prices to attract more people, but if service sucks, property management sucks, right? It doesn't matter how cheap it is, I'm not going there, right? If the service sucks, if the food sucks, it doesn't matter. So in property management, fix the problem, not lower the rents. And conversely, if the rents are too high, doesn't mean that you have an effective program, right? So you have to really adjust and figure out what is the problem and why. There has to be a balance between the rental rates and the service that you're providing. There has to be a balance. That's what it is for property managers. All right, let's see. I have a question here from Fallon. When I was a property manager, the job I worked for sent me out for training. Yep. So they would send you for training. Yeah. Did you need a license? No, because you were a salaried employee of the owner. There you go. Nina, going off of Erica's question regarding sales agent managing a property, can you be an independent contractor working for an owner, or can he be an employee of the owner? All right, so here's the thing. I like your question. Let me put this on the screen. Okay. So I like your question, all the questions so far, but right here, this is what I was explaining before, and just addressing what Fallon was saying. If you are an employee of the owner, first of all, you don't need a license because you're an extension of me. You're a salaried employee. If you're an independent contractor, then you need a license. As a salesperson, you cannot be an independent contractor for the owner. You have to be working, again, sponsored by a broker that contracted with the owner. So I think that answers this question as well. Do you need the broker's permission to do so? Unfortunately, a property management company must be run by a broker. Okay, it's the same as a real estate agency providing services for other people in exchange for compensation. Being a salaried employee, you're an extension of the owner. Being independent contractor, you are a third party. Therefore, you need a broker in order to get paid. Right? So same scenario. You guys brought questions. Okay. Felix, given the fact that as a landlord you need to pay for mortgage, maintenance, and all these things, don't you think it's best to just be a tenant and save yourself the stress and money? Yes and no. It depends. It really depends. What is your ultimate goal? Like, if you're in the relaxed stage of your life where, like, you know what, I don't want to think about retirement. I don't want to think about anything right now. I just want to enjoy life. Then yeah, be a tenant. No problem. You don't have to maintain anything, just indoors, right? You don't have to maintain anything. You don't have to pay mortgage. You're paying somebody else's mortgage. That's it. But no stress, right? Being a landlord, a lot of people want to be a landlord because they don't want to pay other people's mortgage, right? They want to be that. They want to have that level of independence, but it does come with a lot of stress. And then there's the other side. If you're an investor / landlord, right? So if you're an investor / landlord, that means you're looking at the ultimate goal, which is eventually getting to a point where you're generating so much money that you don't need, or enough money that you don't need a job, right? And you can pay somebody to handle that stress. That's why property management. You get it? All right, if you're going to go for a 2-family and that's what you're going to hold on to for the rest of your life, maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you don't want that stress. But if you start with a 3-4 family and then get another 3-4 family and then get another 3-4 family, exchange those for a 10 unit, for a 20 unit, and so on, eventually you get to the point where, hey, you want to work for me? Do the work while I go and sip some Mai Tais somewhere by the beach, right? I don't know. But everybody has different goals. It all depends on where you are in life and where do you want to be. And yes, for some people, being a tenant is the best thing. Just like for some people, being employees is the best thing. For others, you know, I don't like people giving me orders. So it's tough, right? I already have enough people at home to give me orders. So anyway, everybody's different. Let's see. Can use referrals as a means of marketing for... Can use referrals only as means of marketing for getting tenants. I'm sorry, I'm lost. Can I use referrals only as a mean? Nina? I'm going to skip this question, formulated in a different way. I'm not sure what you're asking here. I'm sorry. Next question is... do transactions have a checklist? And as being a transaction broker, you mentioned yesterday that there are checklists for checklists for sellers and buyers for closing, and I think the whole transaction process. So transactions themselves don't have checklists. Your broker should provide you with a general overview of what the process is for buyers for handling buyers, handling sellers, or as an agent or as a transaction broker or dual agents. So your broker is the one that's responsible for providing you these overviews, and then if they have checklists, great. Like we have checklists, but not every agency has a checklist. They just give you the broad overview, and these are the documents needed, and make sure you have them all. And just so you understand, most agencies have something instituted that will prevent you from getting paid if one of these documents is missing. So if you don't have all the documents in the checklist, even though you closed, you've done everything, the broker will not pay you. And some of you might feel, well, that's not fair. We already closed. We got paid. Yes. But if something goes wrong in the next 6 years, the broker gets sued because you did not have the documentation in order. So the idea is holding you accountable and say, hey, let me have all the paperwork. As soon as I have it all, I'll give you your money, right? So holding you accountable somehow. Could a foreclosure with an owner still turn into an adverse possession situation? Foreclosure with an owner. Not so the owner's still there. That's what you're asking. Can a foreclosure with an owner still there turn into an adverse possession situation? Is that the question? Okay. So it's a little different, but let's say the foreclosure happens, and I don't know which bank will not claim the property in 20 years, but in New Jersey, for example. But could a foreclosure happen, and then the owner stays there for the previous owner stays there for the next 20 years? Can they claim adverse possession? I haven't had a situation like this where I can discuss thoroughly about it, but understanding what adverse possession is, being the previous owner and not the current owner, staying there and using the property for the next 20 years, would adverse possession qualify for it? I would assume so, but I would definitely ask an attorney for that question. I'm not, I haven't had or heard of this experience before, so I'm not sure about that. Okay. Okay, so for this question here, can you use referrals only as means of marketing for getting rentals? So you're saying instead of using flyers or paying for marketing, can we just use word of mouth and the referrals that you've established over the years? I don't see why not, but I still think that everything is a combination, like success is a combination of different tools to get there. So marketing, whether it's flyers, Craigslist, Facebook, YouTube, word of mouth, I think everything has to be a combination. You cannot just go by one way, because then you lose out on the exposure. See, how many deals do you have, Nina? How many deals do you have that would want that rental, or that know somebody that would want that rental? Does that make sense? So, guys, I think it's a combo. You have to have referrals are key, because referrals are the best source of revenue. Referrals are, hey, I had a great experience with Bruno, and go to Bruno. That's it. Does that make sense? So that gives you a level of authority amongst everybody else, because people are vouching for you. So that is great. But can that be your sole source of business? I don't think so. I don't think so, because do you think your referrals are going to be knocking on doors and say, hey, I work for Bruno to get a rental. Do you want to rent something? Right? They're not going to do that. So if somebody asks, they'll refer. Referrals are not enough. Referrals are the biggest source of income after you've been established, but they're not enough. There has to be, again, combination of things to expose you as a professional and the units that you're going to market. Okay? And did you guys just like forget class? Let's go over all these questions, right? With an anti-foreclosure act in New Jersey, do tenants need a new lease with a new owner? No. The lease exists. No, it's fine. I'm just, it's just funny. I asked for these questions over the weekend. Anyway, do you need a new lease? No. So whether it's a transfer through foreclosure or transfer to sale, because a foreclosure eventually becomes a sale, the new owner has to honor the old lease. All right. So there's no need to create a new lease, but there is a need to acknowledge that there's a new landlord. You understand? There's no need to create a new lease. There's a need to acknowledge a new landlord and where the payments must be given to, sent to, right? And where the security deposit is located. So because there's a new owner, again, whether it's a sale or a foreclosure, right? The new owner has to say to the tenant, hey, I'm the new owner, so all your payments must come to me, right? And I will not change the current terms of your lease. And your deposit, your security deposit, was given to me and is now here or now there. The problem with foreclosures, as far as security deposits, so let me address real quick. The problem with foreclosures when it comes to security deposits is that 9 out of 10 times, the person that lost the property also does not transfer the security deposit. So is there a risk in a foreclosure? Is there a risk as a tenant that you'll lose your security deposit? Yes. Is there a risk for the landlord that takes over the property? Is there a risk of them of you leaving as a tenant and the landlord having to deal with the damages? Yes. So there's a potential loss on both ends when it comes to foreclosures, right? If you're moving, how do you go about getting your security deposit from the Esker account? I guess I just addressed that regarding the foreclosure. Or what are you talking about? Because as a tenant, if you move, then your landlord is the one that must give you the money. It's not you that go to the Esker account and say, hey, Bank of America, I know there's an account there somewhere. No, that's what I'm saying. It's always the landlord that's the one responsible for returning the money to you. If they don't return the money to you, because you don't have access to your Esker account, you don't have access to that. You're not a signor, right? So you're not an authorized user of the account. So whether it's in a regular lease or in a foreclosure, your landlord must provide you with that secure deposit. And if they don't, then you can send them a letter. Again, I would recommend attorneys to do this. But send a letter, always certified letter if you're not using attorneys. A certified letter that says, hey, just in case you haven't noticed, landlord, I left like 30 days ago and I'm still waiting on my money, right? But put it in writing requesting those funds. Okay? Oh, you go to the post office and you request that your letter is sent certified and registered mail. So it's just a type of stamp that you're paying for. It's that, I don't know if you've ever seen that green card that you put it attached to the letter. You send it out, and then you receive the signed copy of that card saying that they received it on this date, and there's their signature right there. It's almost like a sheriff serving somebody. It's almost like that. It serves the same purpose because somebody signed for it on that date. So it's as valid as somebody handing it over to you in person, right? So again, that's a request at the post office. Okay, the letter's the letter. Just type a letter. Hey, where's my money, right? And then you get to post office. I want to send this certified registered mail with signature confirmation. That's it. Cool. All right, and with that said, we just went over our allowed time to have class. So I see you guys tomorrow. Anyway, do you have any other questions so I can address them or no? Because the rest of these days are going to be reviews. So it's going to be very fast. There's nothing, it's just very few things are specific to the state of New Jersey. Most of it is reviews of the previous chapters. except for math. Math is the only thing that's going to be new on Thursday. All right, no more questions? All right, so with that being said, let's go to chapter 25. And chapter 25, we're going to talk about New Jersey regulatory environment. So here's the thing. We already went over all this as far as licensing regulations, right? We have this chapter. And disciplinary procedures, very similar across the board. New Jersey doesn't fall far off from that. And you know that every state has some type of commission or department that handles real estate only. So we call New Jersey Real Estate Commission here in New Jersey. Now, how is the New Jersey Real Estate Commission organized? Where are their responsibilities and functions? So, New Jersey Real Estate Commission was established in 1921 to administer and enforce New Jersey's real estate licensing law. So we have NJSA, Title 45, Chapter 15. And the commission is a division... The commission is a division of the New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance, most commonly known as NJDOBI. So if you guys ever search for regulations, if you guys ever search for licenses, NJDOBI, Department of Banking and Insurance. Now, in New Jersey, the Real Estate Commission consists of 8 members. Out of those 8 members, 5 of them must have to be licensed as New Jersey real estate brokers for at least 10 years. That means actively licensed brokers with at least 10 years of full-time experience, right? So brokers, we're talking about brokers of record with at least 10 years of experience. 2 members are chosen for the general public, so it could be you, could be me. And then 1 member represents the Department of the state government. So we're looking at 8 members. 5 are brokers, 2 from the general public, and 1 represents the government. That's the Real Estate Commission. The Real Estate Commission in New Jersey requires that all members serve 3-year terms, no more than that. Could they be elected, re-elected? Yes, but 3-year terms until the new election, except for the governmental member who serves at the pleasure of the governor. So if the governor says you're here for 1 week, you're here for 1 week. Governor says you're here for 1 year, you're here for 1 year, and so on. The commission contains 4 sections, and this is very similar across the board, except for this one's a little different, but everything else is very similar. We have the investigation section, which investigates applicants' qualifications and complaints against licensees and unlicensed individuals engaging in the practice of real estate. We have the real estate education section, which regulates us, the school, right? And then you have the Bureau of Subdivided Land Sales Control, who enforces the New Jersey Real Estate Sales Full Disclosure Act. And the final section is the Hearings and Regulatory Affairs section. So after potential complaints, we have the Real Estate Commission gives an opportunity for licensees to present themselves in front of the board or the committee and present their case. But also in the Hearings and Regulatory Affairs, this is where they sit down and discuss changes to regulations or amendments to regulations and even new regulations. Okay? Neither. So are the general population members elected by the individuals in the state or by the real estate agents? Neither. So they'll send random letters to particular. So when I say you and me, it's not going to be like, let's say you're a tenant. What would you know about real estate regulations, right? You're a homeowner. What would you know about real estate regulations? So if you guys ever go look, the Real Estate Commission members they have some type of position that's aside from real estate. Those two chosen from the general public, they have some type of position that brings value to the commission. So one of them, for instance, is a banker. The other one is a few years ago was an investigator, corporate investigator, whatever. So they have some type of position that would benefit the real estate commission. But again, they represent public versus the real estate agents or brokers, right? So they're completely independent parties. What are the responsibilities of the real estate commission? So we're going to repeat some of this stuff several times. They're responsible for supervising and regulating the education, examination, and licensing of all real estate brokers, broker salespersons, and salespersons. They are responsible for regulating and selling and leasing of out-of-state, if you guys remember, interstate property, if you guys remember this, to New Jersey residents when advertised in New Jersey. They're responsible for investigating and adjudicating disciplinary actions against licensees and also administering the Real Estate Guarantee Fund, which we'll talk about later. These are their responsibilities. They meet approximately 36 times a year and perform the following functions. They either issue or deny licenses. They prescribe pre-licensing education courses. They approve continuous education courses. They establish standards of practice for licensees. They propose new rules and amendments to the real estate licensing law, regulate and register out-of-state sales through New Jersey brokers, conduct investigations and hearings to revoke licenses and or sanction violators of the licensing law, and they also administer and enforce the Real Estate Sales Full Disclosure Act. So everything just repeated, a little bit more in detail than before. Everything is repeated and it's common sense. They handle the pre-licensing, the post-licensing, the regulations and sanctions of our ethics and standards of conduct, right? So that's what they do. Licensing regulations. So licensing activities, you guys already know, and we were just talking about it for property management as well. And in New Jersey and almost everywhere, anyone who is involved directly or indirectly, these are referrals, directly or indirectly in a real estate transaction for compensation must be licensed. So if I expect some type of compensation or exchange of value, I must have a license, even for referrals. Can I tell my cousin, hey, you know anybody referred to me, I'll give you some money? No, unless my cousin is licensed. Can I help my father sell his house? Maybe. As long as there's no exchange of value, no problem, okay? So this includes real estate brokers, broker salespersons, salespersons, and anyone representing himself or herself as authorized to act in any of these roles. The transaction involving compensation must be any of the following: listing, selling, purchase, rent, lease, exchange real estate, or close such transaction. Negotiate, offer, attempt to do any of the above, offer, attempt, or agree to negotiate a mortgage loan, offer, attempt, or actually collecting rent, solicit or direct procurement of prospects, provide assistance in locating rental housing. So even for rentals, guys, we need to have a license to help somebody and get paid for it. So any of these require a license when we're doing it for somebody else in exchange for money or consideration. What are the exemptions? If it's a for sale by owner, like you're selling your own property without any representation, do you need a license? No, it's my house. I can sell it. Persons operating under a court order. We already covered this as well when we were talking about regulations, right? If the judge says, hey, Felix, I'm going to appoint you as the executor of this or trustee of that or administrator of this or that, whatever, then I, the judge, am telling you to do something. So I'm giving you a lawful order for you to do something, right? Do you need a license if the judge told you to do so? The answer is no, right? But if Felix starts engaging in real estate, oh, that felt good, making some money to help somebody, that felt good, let me do this again and again and again. If that's the case, then Felix, now you need a license, right? So if you're appointed under a court order, no license, right? Banks, trust companies, and insurance companies, so again, companies, doesn't say brokers, it says companies, right? Because an insurance broker still needs a license. So insurance companies, they do not need a license. Attorneys, again, while operating their normal practice, right? Do they need a license? No. So once they start doing this as a regular daily activity, like getting engaged in real estate, do they need a license? Yes. Okay. Now, there's only 2 types of licenses, but New Jersey recognizes 4. Okay? So there's 2 types of licenses. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we only have, as we've mentioned previously, we have the broker's license or we have a salesperson license. That's it. Right? So anybody that's below the broker of record is a salesperson. Anybody that's below the broker of record is a salesperson. But in New Jersey, we distinguish different types of salespeople. So let's start with the broker's license. In the broker's license, we're talking about broker of record. This person is the only person that's entitled, so you guys already know this, again, a review, entitled to conduct a real estate transaction, operate a real estate business, hire and supervise salespersons and other brokers, and charge and accept compensation for these services. So the only one that can get paid in a real estate transaction is the broker of record. Can the broker then split with his or her salespeople? If they participate in it, why not? So let's figure out the salespeople. The next one we have is the broker salesperson. Who is a broker salesperson? Well, somebody that's now running a business. They qualify to become brokers, right? But they still chose to work in the sales capacity. So technically, the broker salesperson is a salesperson. Does that make sense? A broker salesperson is a salesperson. They're still operating under another broker. Salesperson license, just like a broker salesperson, allows a licensee to engage in transactions only under the broker's supervision and in the name of the brokers. The salesperson may receive compensation only from that broker who is responsible for the salesperson's action. And then New Jersey recognizes a 4th type of license. Now, as of 2008, this changed a little bit. They changed a little bit. You used to have a referral license. Like, the name of it was actually a referral license. In New Jersey now, we now have a salesperson license who works for a referral company. So instead of putting the burden on you, they put the burden on the brokers. So now we have to have 2 different types of agencies. We have the active real estate agency and we have the referral real estate agency. All the salespeople working in the referral agency are called salespersons, right? Licensed with a real estate referral company. So you guys became SLRworks. That's what you are, SLRworks, whatever that is. All right, that's it. That's your new license. And all you're entitled to do is refer. So these are the 4 types of licenses recognized in New Jersey. Just remember, these 3 are under the broker's license. They're not independent. They're under the broker's license. These 2 are salespeople, active salespeople, and these right here are referral salespeople. All they can do is refer. All right, Nina wrote a question. If they are branch manager, supervisor, same thing. So if a broker salesperson is a branch manager or supervisor, they're still operating under the broker of records license, and they're managing or they were giving the authority to manage an office. So all salespeople in that office will come to the broker salesperson and say, hey, this is my question, right? So the broker salesperson is supposed to give support to the salespeople in that branch. But again, who's the one responsible for all? The broker. This is still the one responsible for everybody, even if it's a branch office. And they're still operating as a salesperson, not as a broker. All right, so whoever is acting in the branch office is still acting on behalf of the broker of record while being managed by a broker salesperson. Felix, so a broker salesperson license is someone who is a broker's license but chose to be a salesperson or work as one. Correct. So let's say I qualify today to become a broker, but I'm not ready to open up my business. I don't want to. I don't have either the means financially, or I don't have the mental capacity, or I don't have the emotional capacity to run a business, right? But at least not right now. This is where I am in life. I'm not ready for that. But I have the years of experience. Why not just get it out of the way? Let's do the broker's class right now. Get it out of the way. So now I qualify to become a broker. I take the course, the 150 hours here in New Jersey, right? I pass the state exam, and then I activate as a broker salesperson, right? So I'm ready. At any moment, can I leave my broker and go open up my own branch or my own business? Sure, right? You're ready. The broker title is already there. It's just that temporarily you're under the broker of record. You're acting as a salesperson. So a broker salesperson, it's the same thing as a salesperson. The fact that they have broker attached to it, they have experience. Having experience, can I appoint you as a manager? Sure. Simple. But can you be the broker? Unless you open up your own business or your broker becomes mentally or physically incapacitated, then no. You're not the broker. Okay, so you have to choose to become one. To be a salesperson referral, what are the requirements? They're the same as a salesperson. They're exactly the same. They still have to do the 75 hours here in Jersey. They still have to pass a school exam, state exam, fingerprinting. Everything is exactly the same to be a referral. The only difference is you're going to sit down with your broker, and your broker is going to say, hey, all you can do is referrals. Please sign this, that you understand that you cannot show houses, you cannot talk about any documents, you cannot talk about any transaction. All you're entitled to do is refer, we close, and you collect at the end, period. During the referral and the closing, you cannot do anything else. You're out of the picture until we close. So you have to sign an additional document. That's it. Felix, when you go from a salesperson to a broker, what happens to your salesperson license? Well, you evolved. That's it. Your salesperson license is converted to a broker salesperson or converted to a broker's license. So your salesperson license is done, becomes inactive as a salesperson, and you become active as a broker. So you evolved. That's what it is. All right, guys? Felix. And Ninja disappeared, so I know questions are coming. Waiting. Nina, you can still sell homes or help buyers and transactions. So if you want, what, as a broker salesperson? Yeah. The only person, look, everybody can be part of a transaction, right? So salesperson, broker salesperson, and the broker, all of them can handle transactions. All of them can refer. The question is, if your broker is doing deals, right? If your broker is doing deals, then who's guiding you, right? Because the ultimate goal of a broker is to help the salespeople grow, and that makes the broker grow as well. So if you have a broker that's solely focused on their own independent deals, there might be a problem there. Who's training you? Who's responsible for you? Who's guiding you, right? Do brokers need, in the beginning, do they need to feed as well in order to pay for the bills to keep the office open? Sure. But eventually, the ultimate goal is to be a mentor, to be focused on the salespeople, right? That's the ultimate goal of a broker, and get compensated for that, obviously. Felix, becoming a broker salesperson, does it have its own class, or does it fall within? It's the broker's class. So it's the 150 hours here in New Jersey. Yep, it's the same class. You have to have the 3 years of experience, and it's the same broker's class. All right, corporations. So a corporation wishing to conduct a real estate business must have at least one of its officers as a licensed broker. So for a corporation to exist, like a Remax, a Century 21, even a New Direction Realty, for instance, for us to exist, one of the officers, the owners of the company or appointed officer of the company, one of us must be the broker of record, the one responsible for the whole agency. Okay? Non-residents. Can somebody that's not in New Jersey become licensed in New Jersey? The answer is yes, as long as they meet the same requirements. As long as they come here to New Jersey, pass go through school, pass the state exam, and then apply for their license. So as long as they do that, no problem. Unlicensed assistants. Can you have some type of non-licensed support at the office? Can I have somebody answering phones, somebody handling files? Can I? The answer is yes, right? The thing is that they may not perform tasks that require a license. Here's what they can do. They can answer the phones, set up filing systems and procedures, submit listings to the MLS, write advertisements with the broker's approval, deposits, compute commission checks, place signs on properties, have keys made for listed properties at the broker's direction, order inspections, set up appointments, type contracts for broker approval, and follow up on loan applications. So an unlicensed assistant can do a lot of things, right? But they cannot handle the public. They cannot be direct with the public because that violates the law. So they cannot or may not prospect for clients, host open houses, show property, answer questions on listings, attend home inspections without the broker, discuss contracts with anyone outside the firm, negotiate commissions or broker's fees, or fees on behalf of the broker, accept commission based on percent of compensation, based on a percent of commission, or call to collect rent payments. So all of these are direct with the client. But what is the problem? Why can't we have our assistant do this work? Can anybody tell me? Why can't our assistant do any of these? Who can tell me? Anybody? Nina says liability. Why? Because they're not licensed. Okay, why? What does that have to do? What's the issue? What's not being licensed? So what's the issue? We already understood they're unlicensed, but why can't they handle some of the stuff for us? First of all, I said unlicensed assistant. I did not say she, or I didn't say he, but you guys are only saying she. Like, what's happening there? We can have male assistants. Nothing wrong with that. We don't discriminate. There you go. Could be sued for giving misinformation or, most important, oversharing. See, we know, so let's go back to doing the hours, as you guys said. We know, now being in this class, we know what we can say and can't say. We know who we owe duties to or not, right? The client or the customer. So we know what we're responsible for sharing and what we should avoid sharing altogether, right? So yes, it is a liability issue. Absolutely. Correct, Felix. If you don't have the experience, you can't give. It's not the experience, it's the license. For the fiduciary duties, it's a license. They don't have the obligation for those fiduciary duties. But because they work for us, they're an extension of us. And if they screw up, we screw up. And our broker screws up. You understand? So, unlicensed assistants, they're not trained through the course, for instance, to know what to say or not to say. If you're at an open house and a client walks through or a customer walks through and says, hey, this is a really nice house. Why are they selling? Right? Your assistant knows everything about the file. Usually that's how it is. They know everything because they focus on preparing the file for closing. So your assistant will say, well, it is a beautiful house, but the divorce they're going through, it's nasty. Right? The moment your assistant gave that piece of information, right, they just gave the buyer power to negotiate and therefore damage the seller's position. And who do you represent? The seller in this particular example that I gave you. You see what I'm saying? So that's the issue. They're not trained to know what to say or not to say, and they don't have a license to hold them liable. Okay? Those are the things. Okay? Now, general requirements. So regardless of the type of license sought, all applicants must meet the following requirements. So in the state of New Jersey, you must be at least 18 years of age or older. You need to provide your social security number. You need to provide U.S. citizenship or legal residence. You need to submit application for license commission, pay a non-refundable application fee, be a high school graduate or equivalent, or provide evidence of good moral character. You also have to submit fingerprints and agree to a criminal history or background check. Okay? So state of New Jersey, got to have all these things to qualify for either the salesperson license, broker's license, or even for the referral license. Education. If you want to become a salesperson, you must do at least 75 hours of pre-licensing course, which is what you guys are doing here right now. You need to pass New Jersey State examination. You need to request a license issuance within 1 year of completing my course. So 1 year of completing this course. All right, so let me address this right here. 1 year of completing the pre-licensing course. And you must obtain sponsorship by New Jersey licensed broker. And this is why I keep on telling you guys as well, start interviewing now. And I'll tell you why. Very simply, start interviewing now. Because once you get your license, once you pass the state examination, you're going to get a congratulations, you passed. You need to activate your license. What a lot of you guys do is, okay, I passed. Let me relax. I'm going to go on vacation that I deserve. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. Right? And I don't know if you've noticed. I think you're all adults. But I don't know if you've noticed. But once you become an adult, right? A year goes by in the blink of an eye. Except for 2020. But everything else goes by in the blink of an eye. Right? I can't remember my past 10 years. It was like a year ago. Right? So it goes in the blink of an eye. So my recommendation is always start interviewing now before you get your license. This way, before you pass the state exam. Because this way, as soon as you pass the state exam, you run to that broker, activate your license. That's it. All right? And listen, if later on that's not the place for you to be, that's totally fine. You're independent. You can always switch. What I'm trying to avoid, guys, is that you have to start all over. And believe me, the material is the same. Like the material of the book is the same, right? So make sure you guys just activate your license right away. You want to become a salesperson that refers only? That's okay. Same requirements. Same 75 hours, pass the state examination, request within a year, same thing, and get to a broker that will sponsor you and certify, as I was saying before, certify that you've reviewed all the legal restrictions, right? So if you're going to be a referral or a sluroric, right? If you're going to be one of these, then you need to sit down with your broker, and your broker explains to you what you can and cannot do with your license. And most of it is can't. The only thing you can do is refer. To become a broker. It's very simple. You must have had continuous full-time experience of at least 40 hours per week as a New Jersey licensed salesperson who listed, sold, and leased properties for 3 years immediately preceding the application. So right before you apply for the application, let's say you apply tomorrow, you must have 3 years full-time. Why am I saying this? Why am I so focused on this? Because let's say, talk about a friend of mine a few years ago. He had over 20 years of experience in real estate, but for the majority of his later years, he was part-timer. The beginning, he was full-time, then he decided to go part-time. Can he activate his license as a broker? Does he qualify to become a broker? The answer is no. If I had started part-time and now the final years have been full-time, the answer is yes. But if my previous years, even though I've had all these years of experience, if my previous years were part-time, I'm not eligible to become a broker. So you need to be full-time for 3 years immediately before applying for the broker's license. Make sure you guys remember this. I must have completed a 150-hour broker pre-licensing course, and that includes 90 hours of general broker pre-licensing coursework, 30 hours in broker's ethics and agency law and relationships, and 30 hours of office management and other related topics. Okay, so 150 hours. My question is, and I just saw yours, Nina. My question is very simple. How many hours do you need to become a broker? How many hours do you need to become a broker? If you're watching on YouTube, let me know that you're there and answer the questions as well. How many hours do you need to become a broker? How many education hour or course hours do you need to become a broker? Okay, let me put this on the screen. Okay, we have 150, 50, 225, 25. Okay, so as you guys are answering, I want you to remember my question. My question was, how many hours do you need to become a broker? So I did not qualify you as a salesperson. So if I don't say, hey, Felix, you're a salesperson. Hey, Nidia, you're a salesperson. Hey, Olga, you're a salesperson. If I don't go specific and say you are a salesperson, then technically it's a broad question that says, well, you need 75 hours to start, and then you need 150 more. So how many hours do you need to become a broker? In total, you need 225 hours. Of course, right? Education, 225 hours, right? If I said, hey, Brittany, you are a salesperson. How many hours do you need to become a broker? Then the answer would have been 150. You guys understand? So you got to look in the question, you got to look for these qualifiers. If they're not there, then it's a general, it's a broad question, right? So you need the totals. 75-hour pre-licensing for a salesperson plus 150 pre-licensing for broker. If they qualify you as a broker, then, as a salesperson, then all you need is 150. Got it? Thumbs up? Great. Nina, what if you're licensed in multiple states? How do you satisfy these hours to become a broker in those states? Focus in New Jersey. Just kidding. I'll address it right now. All right. So what do we have next? You need to pass the state examination, same as for the salesperson, right? And which request a license within 1 year. Same thing. To become a broker salesperson, you must meet all the requirements for a broker license. So it's exactly the same. That was the question that Felix had earlier. Boom, exactly the same as the brokers. As far as the question you had before, Nina, which was, how do you request issuance of your license? Your broker does. That's why I say again, you must run to your broker as soon as you pass. Run to your broker, give them the passing score and the fingerprinting and the $160 money order to the state treasurer of New Jersey. Now it changed a little bit. Now your broker is the one that pays, so you're gonna have to give it to the broker, the 160. But anyway, in any event, these are the three things you need: score report, the background check, so the fingerprinting form, and a $160 money order. Bring that to your broker sends to the state, and boom, activates you. That's it. All right, so that's how you issue your license. It could take anywhere between, anywhere between 5 to 10 business days. That's why I usually say it might take longer, it might take less. It all depends on how much of a criminal you are. That's it. Okay? If you're not a criminal, should be quick. If you're too much of a, like mine took a month and a half to get activated. So imagine that. Right, when they looked at my rap sheet, forget it. They said, Bruno, we're not sure. But no, you know why that happened? Because I made the mistake, what I'm telling you guys not to do now. I made the mistake of only doing my fingerprints after passing the state exam. If you do your fingerprints after passing the state exam, it takes a while to get submitted to the state, and your application gets there, there's nothing to match. But if you already did your fingerprints, it's already there. Once your application comes in, your full background check is there to review. So I definitely recommend you do it as quick as possible. All right, your other question was about being licensed in multiple states. Not every state recognizes New Jersey, so no reciprocity. So you might have to do the hours in those states as well. Okay. All right, Felix has a question before I move forward. Hey, Tina, I see that you're there. Welcome. Felix, so in other words, the best is to do fingerprints after class exam? No, your best is to do the fingerprint whenever you can. You don't need to do it after the class exam, right? But I understand why some people don't do it. Some people don't do the fingerprints. They're like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to pass yet. So if I do the fingerprints, then later on I have to do it again, right? That's the wrong mentality. So you need to do it now because you're going to pass this Saturday, right? And then you're going to activate the very next week. Period. Get it done. Get it out of the way. Nina, it's the same thing. Your full-time experience in New Jersey might not be recognized in other states. Every state has the same for education and experience. Every state has their own rules. Some have reciprocity, others don't. New Jersey, for instance, has no reciprocity with any state. We don't like them, they don't like us. That sucks, but that's the way New Jersey is. So you have requirements. You have to do the same education, same courses in order to be activated in Jersey. And as far as experience, we don't recognize the experience except for PA and New York, if I'm not mistaken, there's a waiver that you can send to the real estate commission. They'll recognize it, they'll look at it and say, hey, okay, you only have to do 15 hours for this or 30 hours for that. They'll tell you exactly if you qualify or not. But the majority of the times, the answer is no. You still have to do everything all over again for that particular state or vice versa. Okay? All right, as far as the examination. So the license examination is administered by PSI Services, LLC, so psiexams.com. And applicants are to make an appointment with PSI to take the examination. So as soon as you pass our exam, the school exam, we're going to upload you to PSI Exams. You're going to receive an email that says, hey, congratulations, you're now eligible to take the New Jersey Real Estate Salesperson exam. Click here in order to schedule. So this only happens after you pass my examination. You get a certificate and I upload you to the system. Now, applicants are given up to 4 hours, same as the school exam. You're given up to 4 hours to complete the exam. So you don't have to be there for the whole 4 hours. You can be there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or the whole 4 hours, up to you, right? And you must receive a score of 70 or higher to pass the examination. Let me address this real quick. There's 110 questions in the state exam. That means you need 77 correct. And this equals 70%. Okay? A little bit of rain and that's it. We hear ambulances, fire department all over. Found are Saturdays available. So they do have morning Saturday presential at PSI Exams, but addressing Tina. So there's practice exams online in the student portal. But as far as the state exam, I'm sorry, for Fallon and for everybody else, as far as the state exam, there is a Saturday exam available presential, like if you want to go there. But they're also allowing you to do online exams, so you can do it at any time, right? That could be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever day you want, and they have different schedules. So you can take it at any time. They have somebody online to proctor you, okay? So Tina, again, in the student portal, once you log in, under course resources, there's practice exams. I do not recommend you do any practice exam until you've done at least 90% of the course. What I do recommend is that you do, there's a Quizlet link there as well. You do the Quizlets. So there's flashcards. So do Quizlets. All right, waivers. So as I was saying before, you might have waivers for education or experience requirement, right? Now, disabled veterans who are New Jersey citizens, they will have the education, or might have, again it says may right here, so it's not guaranteed. They may have their education and experience requirements waived. That means they can go straight to brokers without having to have the experience, and they don't have to pay for fees or anything. Non-residents licensed brokers with 3 years of broker experience in another state may, as I was saying right now, may have the experience requirement waived. May. It's not guaranteed, right? So you still have to apply to the state, and the state has to review and approve your experience or not. New Jersey brokers previously licensed within the past 5 years. So let's say you were a broker active up to 5 years ago, but then your license got deactivated because, you know, you just decided to walk away, right? If you want to come back into the game, they might waive the education requirement. And attorneys as well. Their education might be waived. If you had equivalent college education or out-of-state equivalent pre-licensing course, they might, again, it's not guaranteed, they might waive the education as well, okay? All right, as far as denials, the commission may deny license for the following: applicants that are currently on parole or probation, applicants that were convicted within the previous 5 years. The key word is convicted. Okay? Being arrested for something does not mean convicted. This is, the judge said, you are guilty, this is what we're going to do, right? So from conviction, within 5 years, you cannot get a license. After the 5th year and 1 day, you can get your license. So if you're convicted for forgery, burglary, robbery, theft, other than shoplifting, because everybody knows shoplifting is okay, criminal conspiracy to defraud, or similar offenses, you cannot get your license within the 5 years. After 5 years, no problem. Go ahead, preparing contracts is no longer a problem, right? Forgery is not a problem. Getting into people's homes is not a problem. Taking what they have is not a problem. If it's commercial, definitely not a problem, right? So 5 years and 1 day, those are the exemptions. Reciprocity, like I was saying, Nina, New Jersey does not have reciprocity agreements with any other state. So we do not recognize licenses issued in another state. So the procedure for getting a New Jersey salesperson license is as follows. You need to complete all education requirements to include high school completion, equivalent, and pre-licensing coursework. You need to register for and pass the state license examination, fingerprinting right here, obtain a sponsoring broker and have the broker sign the score report provided after the examination is passed, and then submit to the commission along with the criminal history check and the score report. I'm sorry, the score report, the criminal history check, and the $160 money order that I just mentioned earlier. Okay, these are the requirements to activate your license. To become a broker, same requirements, except 150 hours instead of 75. You must submit your school certificate with the experience report for broker applicant. Right? So if it's a broker's class, by the way, if it's a broker's class, I do not upload you. So New Direction School does not upload you to the system. We give you certificates. You send that along with your broker experience form, which your current broker has to sign and say, yes, this person is okay, right? They have experience, whatever. That is submitted to the real estate commission, and after the commission reviewed, they give you okay to take the state exam. So we don't submit you to take the state broker's license, okay? The commission gives you the certificate of eligibility, and then you can register to take the exam. Nina's asking, how would they know you graduated from high school? Do we have to show someone a diploma or a GED? So you don't have to show anything unless requested, but there is a checkbox that you say, I do have a high school diploma or equivalent, right? So it's a checkbox. If you lie in that checkbox later on, they catch you on it, you could lose your license and pay fines, right? So they don't check it, but it's a checkbox. So you check it. Hopefully they'll never know that all I did was kindergarten. All right, license status. Licenses are issued on a 2-year terms. I already said this before, and they begin on July 1st. They begin on July 1st of odd numbered years. So they renew every July 1st. It's a brand new licensing period, right? There's the active license, which allows you to engage in real estate activities. There's the inactive license, which obviously does not allow you to engage. There's expired license, you never renewed. So these are the statuses that you can fall under. You did not renew your license, so you became expired. And then there's the void license. If you do not renew that expired license, if you do not renew for 2 consecutive years, then it becomes void. So that means if after 2 years of not renewing, You want to be part of real estate business again, you have to come class again. All right? And always remember, the jokes are the same. For the next 100 years, the material is the same. Nothing changes. Right? Maybe a line here and there. That's it. So for license reactivation, again, you have to do everything all over again. If you are a referral agent, you do not need to do CE credits, but you do need to review the restrictions on brokerage activities. Now, we already went over all of this, so I'm just showing you again. We talked about this earlier with some of the questions, right? But again, referral does not need to do CE credits. They do need to renew their license every 2 years, and they must review the restrictions on the fact that all they can do is referrals on the brokerage activities, okay? If a license has expired after becoming inactive, like I said, to be reactivated again, you must meet all the requirements for initial license. So coursework, so the classes, 75 hours, examination, and so on. How do you become suspended or revoked? That means you were found guilty of something. You were found guilty of something. And depending on the type of investigation that's going on, they might suspend you just because of that. Okay? License termination. If we terminate your license, we have to notify the Real Estate Commission within 5 business days that you guys are no longer with the agency. All right. CE credits, continuing education, CE credits. As we were mentioning already earlier before, every 2 years you have to do a license renewal, right? And every 2 years, if you're not a referral salesperson, if you are an active salesperson, broker salesperson, or broker, you have to do continuous education. In the state of New Jersey, the CE credits are 12 hours. That's the requirement, 12 hours in New Jersey. Other states like New York is 14 hours, for instance. Right? There's different requirements for every single state. New Jersey is 12 hours. And the deadline for completion is April 30th. So your license renews or expires, on June 30th. They're telling you you have to complete your coursework, so the CE credits, at least 2 months before. Anything after May 1st is subject to a $200 fine on top of the renewal and obviously the CE credits, right? Does found guilty mean convicted or charged with something? So if you're found guilty, that means you were convicted. So yes, you were charged with something, all right? But depending on what it is, depending on what the crime is, they can either suspend you or fully revoke. So if you're found guilty of forgery and something else, right, then automatically they revoke you. If you're found guilty for, let's say, possession of drugs, then you might be just suspended in the Real Estate Commission, right? It depends. So that's why it says if you're found guilty, you could either be revoked or suspended. If you're pending conviction, so if you're being investigated, you're in court, and you're pending conviction based on murder, as an example, your license will be suspended even if you're not found guilty yet. But if it's based on murder, you will be suspended automatically. All right, so a few things. Where was I? Okay, so your CE credits, what can you do? Here are your options for CE credits. You either do 2 hours of ethics every 2 years, 4 hours of core topics, and 6 hours of elective. Elective could have been short sale foreclosures, marketing, appraisals, right? These are elective courses that might be approved, right? So you got to do 2 hours of ethics, 4 hours of core topics, and the other 6 hours could be anything. Or your second option is kill yourself. Because 12 hours of ethics, like it's already tough to do 2 hours. telling you guys what's right and what's wrong. Imagine your parents nagging at you the whole day for 12 hours, right? And saying, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Imagine that when it comes to law, right? So yeah, you can do 12 hours if you want. You want to know all about ethics. Or just do 2 hours every 2 years, 4 hours of core topics, and again, 6 hours of elective. All right, totally up to you. Core topics, as I said before to when Nina was asking, core topics could be our chapter 11, which is agency. We're talking about national agency. Disclosure, also within agency and also in the brokerage activities, right? Legal issues. Nina's asking, I'm here replying. Ethics, fair housing, so discrimination. We talked about this already a couple times, and we're going to repeat it in a later chapter. New Jersey broker statute regulations, state and federal environmental laws, and escrow monies and financial record keeping legal requirements. So again, a lot of the chapters that we have here in this book qualify later for core topics. Okay. Elective topics, Nina, before you type it, elective, right? Could be commercial real estate, property management. We also have that chapter here. Seasonal rentals, Real Estate Sales Full Disclosure Act, and Real Estate Timeshare Act, financing, and land use. So any of these are valuations or appraisals, short sale foreclosures, specific aspects of residential real estate transactions. All these are elective. So basically, could you do 12 hours of this course? Right? I think we've covered most of this stuff. Both the core topics and the elective topics are covered within the course anyway. So 2 years from now, well, for you guys again in 2023, but let's say every 2 years, could you come back and say, hey, Bruno, I just want to jump in on the class to do my CE credits? Sure. Can I create a course specific for you? Sure. But regardless, these are the requirements. At least 2 hours on ethics, 4 hours on core topics, and 6 on elective topics. Okay. As I said, there's no education requirement for continuous education requirement for referrals, right? And if you want to be a salesperson and you want to switch, you're a solicitor, right? It's a referral, and you want to switch to a full service salesperson. I'm going to go really fast at this because there's different. It's not going to be in the state exam. But if you're licensed as a referral for less than 1 year, then you can just switch. You don't have to do CE credits. If you've been licensed as a referral for 1 to 6 years, you must do at least 24 hours of CE credits. If you're licensed for more than 6 years and you want to become active, you must do the whole 75 hours again. So it depends on how long you've been a referral. That will be the requirement to activate your license. Okay? And that's it. You don't have to go through this. Let's go. I'm on page, sorry. I'm on page 409. The exemption for CE credits, this might be a question. Exemption for CE credits is only, so people, aside from referral agents, who's exempt from CE credits is only brokers and salespersons who've been licensed for 40 or more years. They are exempt from continuous education. So if you've been a broker or broker salesperson with over 40 years of experience, you are exempt. Yes, some people are born and become brokers, yes. That's what it is, in case you guys were wondering. All right, real quick, disciplinary procedures. Disciplinary procedures, that means you've done something, right? Or your broker did something. And what are the procedures for it? So the Real Estate Commission investigates actions of the broker, salespersons, or salespersons and broker salespersons. It also investigates anyone claiming to be licensed who is not licensed. The commission investigates actions on its own volition or in response to a complaint made against someone practicing real estate transactions. Anyone wishing to have an action investigated can bring pleadings before the commission in order to form in the form of orders to show cause, complaints, answers, petitions, and motions, pretty much like going to court, right? And these pleadings can result in compelling an individual to appear before the commission. So if you make a complaint against me, as an example, right, you make a complaint to the real estate commission, and they will bring me to a hearing. So the first step is always to do some type of arbitration, right? So it's not court. It's not an actual lawsuit that's happening, right? This is just arbitration. When the commission has reviewed the pleading, it may schedule a hearing wherein the accused appears before the commission, and the accused is giving 10-day notice of the hearing. So the hearing is going to happen 10 days from now. You get up to today, right, to say, hey, listen, 10 days from now, you got to show up, right? Failure to appear to any commission order will result in sanctions being imposed upon the violator. Based on the findings from the hearing, the commission may either rule to suspend or revoke your license or place your license on probation. Such rulings can be appealed to the New Jersey Superior Court, and in addition, there's possible restitution to be paid. So in addition to the suspension, revocation, or probation, you might have to pay restitution to the wronged party. Now, this right here, what I'm about to read, is almost guaranteed to be a question, but you need to remember immediate consequences. This is key. Every question in the state exam is kind of tricky, right? But again, you got to look at qualifiers. You got to look at disqualifiers on the question, right? But you also have to understand what are immediate consequences when it comes to violations. So for instance, if a broker knows that a salesperson employed by the broker is violating the law and does not intervene, the brokers had to have guilty knowledge. So if you have guilty knowledge, let's say I'm the broker, you guys are my agents. If I know what Arlene is doing, right? I know she's just forging signatures, she's faking a bunch of stuff in those documents, right? Arlene, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, okay? Right? But it's for the question, right? So if I know that, Arlene, that's what you're doing, and I don't do anything because you're my top producer, like you bring so many deals and I'm happy, right? Remember, money's not everything. If I'm found guilty, if it can be proven that I knew what Arlene was doing, my license will be suspended. And guys, if I sponsor all of you and my license gets suspended, what is the immediate action or result on your license? Your licenses will also be suspended until the end of the current licensing period. Okay? So again, what is the immediate consequence? If my license is suspended, yours is suspended. Right? If my license, remember this, write this down. If my license as a broker is suspended, your license is suspended as well. Simple as that. If my license is suspended, so is yours. Now, is there an alternative? Do you have to stay suspended until the end of that period? No. Because it was not your fault. It was Arlene's fault and my fault. Because it's not your fault, you can associate with another broker. So you can transfer your license at no cost. Again, it was not your fault. It was your broker and one of the agents. So, immediate consequence, suspension. What can you do after? Go somewhere else. Right? But the immediate consequence is suspension. So that means that all activities must be seized. So if you have a pending transaction, or if you're soliciting business, as soon as my license gets suspended, so does yours. Therefore, neither one of us can perform duties as real estate salespeople, broker salespeople, or brokers. Was that clear? Thumbs up? All right, cool. All right, Ninja disappeared, so there's a question coming. I'll wait for that one. Waiting. So Nina stops for a question and Felix runs away. Felix went over to Nina's house to whisper what the question was. All right, so the question from Nina is, what if your broker's license is suspended or revoked and you have a deal coming through? Can you take that deal to your new broker? All right, so any deals pending might automatically be dropped, right? Because of the situation. At least with that brokerage, they're over. The contracts are over. Can you bring it to the new office? Well, let me ask you something. How would you feel? Like, I gotta have a really good relationship with you. How would you feel, right, if I came to you and I said, "Hey, Nina, I know you're buying a house. Unfortunately, I can no longer help you because my broker got suspended, and so did I. I'm moving to a new broker, so if you want to come with me, right, we can start the business there. We can restart the business there." How would you feel? I just told you my broker got suspended. Who's going to believe that I was not part of it? Unless we have a really, really good relationship, who's going to believe, right? So, can you take your deal to a new broker if they're willing to go with you? Yes. Because effectively, right, as soon as the license got suspended, effectively that deal also got suspended. So, can you take it to a new place? Sure. You can, if they're willing to. So they can't close without you, or they can still close on their own with the buyer. So now we will be between attorneys, because remember, we're not part of the deal. We're not part of the deal. So that's a great question. We're not part of the deal. Our job is to match the seller with the buyer with the seller, right? And then we're out of the deal. Everything else from there on is consulting, right? So can they still close without you? They can. Again, it's between attorneys, it's between them. Your first question was, can I bring the deal with me? Well, the deal on your end as an agency is done. Can they continue without you and not pay you? Sure, they can, if there's a deal pending. But I was assuming your question was based on the listing or anything like that. But if it's a transaction that's underway, like under contract, they can still complete it. They don't need you to complete because you're not signing any documents. They are. So can they not pay you? Sure they can. You're not licensed. And the commitment to pay was to the broker that just got suspended. So do they have to pay you? Not at all. Sorry, sucks. That's why you have to be very careful when you're inside a brokerage and you see something that's not kosher. Like, it's like, oh my God, what's going on here, right? Talk to your broker. If your broker says no, don't worry about it, like forgery is okay, as an example, then that should be a good sign for you to move. Right? So practices. Some people are ethical, some people are semi-ethical, and some people are completely unethical. So where you're going to work, it's totally up to you. Got it? All right, back to this. So real estate guarantee fund. If you guys remember when we talked about brokerage activities in previous chapter, when we talk about brokerage activities, we said that each state creates either a bond or some type of fund to protect the general public in case you, the salesperson or the broker, cannot pay for the claims or the full claim, right? So in New Jersey, we have a real estate guarantee fund, which is a fund where they take money from your license application, right? At the time of application, they take money from it, deposit into that fund, and they pay out if there's a claim that includes the real estate commission. There must be a lawsuit against the real estate commission as well. So let's say I'm going to sue you, Elda. I'm going to sue you because you do not have my best interest. You're working on behalf of the seller instead of the buyer, right? I'm your client, but you're giving hints to the seller on what to do, right? So I'm going to sue you. And when I sue you, let's say you don't have errors and omissions insurance, right? So you didn't have insurance to protect yourself, right? As an example. So I'm going to sue you. Insurance does not pay. So now there's a judgment against you. Can I go after the guarantee fund? Unless I name the real estate commission in the lawsuit as well, I will not be able to go after the guarantee fund. So the injured party must file a civil court judgment, again, including the real estate commission. If the fund does pay out, the max that they'll pay out is $20,000. That's the max. And your license will be revoked until you reimburse the fund the full amount paid plus interest. So if the real estate commission does pay out of that fund, your license will be revoked, automatically revoked, right? And you will only reactivate your license, depending on what the crime was, but you only reactivate your license after reimbursing the real estate guarantee fund with interest. All right, waiting on Felix's question. I'm telling you, Felix, I'm going to get you a course, a typing course. Faster, 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 man. Well, that's a big question. It's okay. Is it possible a salesperson doesn't have E&O insurance? Isn't that supposed to be covered by the broker? So great question, amazing question, but yes and no. So most brokerages have their own E&O, right? It's the requirement, but some brokerages might require you to have your own. So am I required to provide you E&O? No, I'm required to have it for my own business as a broker. But I can say that my E&O covers my errors and omissions in my immediate salespeople or my immediate employees. But I can tell you, Felix, if you want to join us, then you're responsible for your own errors and omissions. You need to provide me with a certificate of E&O insurance before we proceed. So depending on the state that you're in, depending on the agency that you go work for, whatever the rules and regulations are at that moment, you might have to have your own. Okay? The majority of the times, the answer is yes. The broker has an umbrella E&O that covers all the salespeople. Yep. Nina, do people normally include the commission in a lawsuit? Do they know how to do that? Or the attorney? Okay. Usually when you go for a real estate lawsuit against the real estate commission, attorneys know what to do. So usually it's not you including, but most attorneys are supposed to know what to do. Yeah. Any other questions? And Nina disappeared. No, what I said was that sometimes the broker might require you to have your own E&O. They might not have the umbrella E&O for you. They might not cover you under their E&O. The majority of the times, 99% of the times, as far as I know, especially here in New Jersey, the broker provides the E&O, and you pay either monthly or upfront in the beginning of the year or per transaction. Right? What we do, for instance, here at the New Direction Realty, is we put it in the transaction with a cap. So it's per transaction and a cap, like a max that you'll ever pay for the year. Okay. Good. All right, guys. So we're done with this chapter. We're going to go into a quick break. It's 12:05, 12:06. So 12:15, we are back. Okay. If anybody's watching on YouTube, I'm going to close this session and I open another one in a few minutes. Okay. See you guys in a bit.